Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach, and today we have with us Neil Bedwell, who's a partner with Local, a change marketing consultancy. Neil, welcome to the program.
Hey, good to talk to you, Mike.
You too, and I'm looking forward to learning from you because I want to hear what change marketing is, because marketing is meant to change the way people think about issues, problems, causes, and so I'm excited to hear about what you guys do, but give us a little bit of your background and your entrepreneurial journey.
Happy to, yeah. So I am talking to you from Atlanta, Georgia, but you probably already guessed that I didn't grow up here. I'm a Brit and I spent a good amount of my, at least adult life, living in London. I have spent, well, I would say this is probably my fourth career, maybe fifth. I started out as working in the race car industry and realized that I actually wanted to be a racing driver rather than an engineer working on the cars, so that one didn't work out. And then sort of bounced through various different iterations of the advertising world. And we're talking about advertising as it changed from what we would call traditional, TV ads and print ads and newspapers and things, through the digital revolution. So I had fun in the first .com bubble in 99, 2000, working, with some big brands, figuring out how to build websites. I've carried on that career through various different, work with people like BMW and Adidas and folks like that in London. Got the chance to move to Amsterdam and run an agency over there for a couple of years. Took time out and dabbled in the film industry, which is also fun. And but advertising and big brands always pulled me back. So moved out to the US to run an agency team in San Francisco for a couple of years, and then from Coca-Cola. And instead of being on the agency side, I moved to being on the client side. So instead of being the creator and seller of ideas, I became the buyer and scaler of ideas, running digital marketing for Coke here in Atlanta, and with the biggest program that I've ever got my hands on, which was the World Cup, Brazil World Cup 2014.
Wow.
How do you get the world's biggest brand at that time to tell one story through 175 different countries to reach up to 4 billion people who were 4 billion soccer fans in the world, around the world, all doing the same thing at the same time, which is watching and engaging with that event. So biggest toy box I've ever got to play with.
Yeah.
So that takes me up to then founding Local, which I'll happily tell you about.
Yeah, it's always interesting when I hear people like yourself that have a vast resume of experience with high-end brands and really high-leveraged consulting and content, and then you can bring that down to the smaller, run-of-the-mill guys that, with maybe small business owners, or bringing the thinking from, like, hopefully where we're going to go with, thinking small but thinking big at the same time. So what is Local? And give us an idea of what you do there.
So, Local, you hit the nail on the head at the top of the show. We're a change marketing consulting firm, and I'll try and explain that for you. So, throughout my whole career, creating ideas, trying to scale ideas, there was this one problem that we always hit up against that we never solved for, which is, why does the idea look bigger and clearer and stronger when we present it as a concept than it does when it ends up in the real world? Why does it get smaller, weaker, and worse as we execute? So that was the question that we were grappling with. And actually working inside a large company like Coca-Cola gave me sight into what happens. Ideas struggle when as they travel through complex corporate cultures. They struggle as they leave the room with a small group of people who all believe in an idea, and then have to go out and be understood, believed in, adopted by lots of other people who haven't been on the journey to develop the idea with you. And, over the years, I liken large company cultures to like a blender. Imagine this big blender with all these whirring teeth. And then what we do with our precious little ideas, like a little soft strawberry, is we sort of toss it into the blender and hope it survives the journey through all of those people, all of those. Yeah, and, when it comes out looking like a smoothie on the other side, everyone's really disappointed. But what no one seems to want to do is look in the blender. So that's what we do at Local. We help ideas travel through companies. So most of our clients are big corporates. So we still do work with people like Coca-Cola and things like that. But we are a small boutique consulting firm working inside of those companies. But the philosophies and the approach that we have is relevant to every company. Just so happens that our experience lends us to large, complex cultures. But so what change marketing is basically is everything we've learned, and there's 20 of us here, and we're all career marketers of some form. So everything we've learned about marketing to people on the outside with a new brand, a new product, new service, and then apply that to an audience on the inside, employees. So, and treat employees with the same deference and care that you do with customers. Think of employees really as internal customers. So it's the application of marketing internally on problems of change. And we do lean into some of the progressive models from change management, understanding organizational structure and culture and things like that in order to give us insight into the audience, the employees, so that we can market effectively to them. And I think obviously internal communications has existed for a long time, but it tends to be more informational. It tends to be more rational and practical. What we do, which is what we do on the outside with customers, is more emotional. We try and capture their attention, try and gain their interest, make them care about something before we then present them with the information.
Because you need to guide them through that process. And it's like the Maya Angelou quote, people will forget what you said to them, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. So it's that emotional draw, right? You're drawing people into the brand. And I love on your website where it says, without storytelling, transformation can be an expensive business. So I want to dive into that. And it makes me think of the word transformation is interesting in the marketing sense. As marketers, we have found that we must present to our client, our prospect, the transformation that we can take them to. But in reality, the prospect, before they become a client, they want the transformation. They don't really need to know right now the transportation. You don't need to get into the weeds of, well, first we're going to do this and then install that and do. They just want to know, you're going to take me here and it's going to look like this and feel like this. Yes. And then guess what? When we accomplish this transformation, it's going to allow you to tell your story better, your cause, and then of course we need to do this little thing and this little thing, but let's get right back to the transformation. So talk about the juxtaposition between storytelling and transformation.
So it's such an interesting question, Mike. The transformation tends to be focused on technology or process. Okay, so we are going to digital transformation seems to be I saw this quote once, and I won't name or reference where it came from, but it came from the consulting world, where someone said digital transformation is basically replacing people with technology. Complete rubbish, complete nonsense. Technology just enables humans. Humans are at the center of every company. The actual definition, the meaning of the word company is derived through Latin and French. It means coming together to bake bread, the communion around bread. So it's about people coming together, make something and then sharing in what they've made. That's what a company is. So we have to think about companies as people rather than companies employing people. But so transformation is often technology or process led. But we forget that in order for a company to transform using that technology, the human beings inside it need to understand it, adopt it, and make it their own. And we forget about that. We spend tens or hundreds of millions of dollars on, system-wide, enterprise-wide technology updates and new systems. And then we announce it with one email that says log in here. I mean, you wouldn't, if you were launching a new car or a new piece of consumer technology, you wouldn't just give somebody a link to buy it. You give them a reason to pay attention to it first. So storytelling takes something complex and unknown, maybe scary, or maybe, or worse, just uninteresting, and makes it relevant to me. It puts it into the context of my world. And that's really what we're trying to do here. If you think about the transformation that one of the logistics carriers is trying to go through, they're putting in new technology in the head office. I've got to make that totally understandable, interesting, and relevant to someone driving one of the trucks. Because without those truck drivers, which they're the ones who deliver the company's service, the technology, the value of the technology can't be unlocked.
Yeah.
It requires, a database is just an empty vessel unless people fill it. An HR platform is just an empty vessel unless employees use it. And so you've got to win them over and bring them in. And that's what storytelling does. That's humans communicate in stories. We respond to stories. It's kind of how we're wired.
What you mentioned there made me think of two things. Everyone's favorite radio station. Have you ever heard of that before?
I haven't. No, tell me.
So everyone's favorite radio station is WIIFM. What's in it for me? And what you just said there,
love it.
When you're rolling out or describing or telling stories about change, it needs to be through the lens of WIIFM. What's in it for your employees, your target audience? Because they really don't care about your thing, your widget, your change, your transformation. Right. And then it's almost like this, too, in marketing copywriting. It's almost like you've got to insert this phrase called "so what" after the headline, and then after the first sentence, the first paragraph, because your readers, your employees, your target audience is listening to your thing, reading your thing, going, so what? What's in it for me? So what? Like, oh, well, we've got the digital blah, 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 and we're going to, so what? What's it going to do for me? And what I would suspect is you would agree that when the story is correctly told through the lens of what's in it for your target audience, your internal team, and solving for so what, now that story is polished up well.
Absolutely. Our favorite stories, to carry your theme on here, are the ones that we can see ourselves in.
Yes.
The ones that we, where we have we build a relationship to the hero. And see ourselves as like that. So I need to understand what this looks like in my life. I need you to paint that picture for me. I need this story to become my story, as opposed to something the company wants me to do. And the what's in it for me, the world's favorite radio station. I'm going to steal that, Mike.
Take it. I stole it from Brian Tracy, the speaker years ago.
There we go. We shall pass it on.
Yeah. Pay it forward.
It doesn't matter what size company you have. We make a huge mistake, I think, in working life, in thinking of people as resources. I could do a whole rant on the way that human resources, the name of that, drives people in the wrong direction. Mm-hmm. When you think of resources, you're trying to organize. You're trying to stack them all on top of each other. You're trying to make them all the same. When you have a resource, you're trying to sort of manage it efficiently. These are unique, creative, passionate, emotional individuals. Every single one of them sees the world through their own eyes, with their own unique and individual mindset. So as they see that world through their own eyes, they're gonna create their own story about the thing that they're looking at, unless you give them a compelling story to see themselves in. And there isn't sort of the company story or no story. There's the company story or the story the employees create.
And there's also the story that the employees create about the brand, the vision, the mission, and then there's a nuance of that story, the same story, but it just needs to be polished up so that your target audience and your customers and your prospects are part of that story as well. Because if your internal team doesn't buy into the story, then it can implode. And if your external prospects in your external environment don't buy into your story, you've got nothing to sell.
Absolutely. Well, think about this. Who is it that talks to your external prospects and customers.
Yeah, your team.
The people who work for you.
Yeah.
And if they don't believe in what you're doing, then there's no way that they're going to get the
Right.
folks on the outside to believe in it.
Yep.
You know, we always talk about employee experience, EX, and customer experience, CX. So EX drives CX. If you want to create a better customer experience, invest in your employees. Don't just invest in the customers, because it's the employees that create that experience. And for some reason, the folks who look after EX and the folks who look after CX sit on two opposing ends of the company.
Yep.
The marketing folks and the HR folks.
They should share the same cubicle.
You could make an argument they should be the same team. It should be the humanity team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all about understanding humans and how to get them to believe in, care about, and adopt the behaviors that you're interested in, whether that's a buying behavior or a service behavior. Yep. It's the same. They're the same types of. They're the same people. Your employees and your
we don't sell B2B, B2C, B2G. We sell H to H. You know, human to human.
Human.
Come on. Real is rare these days, and I think that's the problem. Is people, the bigger the company gets, the more formulaic the temptation is, and so I think what you're doing to bring storytelling and transformation and all of these things into your clients is just spectacular. So I think we could probably go on for about another 4.5 more hours and still not have come up for air. So why don't we wrap up with this, Neil? What's if someone is listening to this going, you know what? I like what I'm hearing. Tell me more. What's the best way they can learn a little bit more about local?
Yeah, absolutely. So our website, localindustries.com, is really sort of the houses everything that I think you'd need to know about us if you wanted to get in touch. There's two different angles that someone listening to this might want to engage with us. So one is if you're building change in medium or large teams, we're a communications partner for you, and we will happily have that conversation. We work in every different industry, from CPG to manufacturing to travel, all over the map. And we are the experts in sort of humanity and human nature. So if you need to understand why your employees are not engaging with something, or how to get them to engage in something new, talk to us. If you are a small business owner or an entrepreneur or someone interested in learning sort of about what we do to bring it into your company without needing to hire a consulting firm, we are just launching our Change Marketing University, which is a short, engaging, fun course you can take to take some of this stuff into the work you're doing as a leader. And so you can either do it with us or we can help you do it for yourself. And we'd love to do either with any of your listeners.
Excellent. Well, Neil, thank you so much for coming on today. It was a real pleasure talking with you.
Thank you, Mike, and have a great day.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.